So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Do on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today I'm joined by Mark Pursino, and he's the singer and guitar player for the band Electrocutioner. And they released an album on October the 13th called False Idols. So, we're here to talk all about this album and other thrash and music. So, first of all, Mark, welcome to the couch. How are you?
Thanks, man. Doing well. Thanks for having us, man. Love the name. Chill dude on a couch.
Yes, it's all about doing things from the couch. So uh I listened to your album because my good friend the Green Man, Tom the Green Man, on his channel, he reviewed your record, and I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting, fresh, and I checked it out, and I told him like, hey, I'm gonna have them on the channel as well. And so this first of all, the name Electrocutioner, I have a funny story because when I heard your name, I thought of like when I was in high school, uh, I wrote a song called Executioner.
Ah,
And and you have a song called The Guillotine, and that song that I wrote, Executioner, I was like I was inspired by thrash metal, and it's it's a song about an executioner cutting your head off, and then I listened to your song, I'm like, oh my god,
yeah.
it's better than my song. The funny story is I
Thank
showed
you.
the lyrics of my song to my girlfriend, and she's like, "Yeah, you should stick to reviewing."
That's pretty funny. Well, at least she's you got someone who's telling you the truth, I guess, in your corner.
Oh yeah,
I don't
she's
know.
like, "Yeah, just stick with reviewing and doing interviews because songwriting is not your forte." But
Because stay
when
on
I
the
saw
couch.
your
Stay on the couch.
when I saw the name of your band, I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like
That's
that's
funny, man.
yeah, I thought of the song I wrote. So Electrocutioner. So obviously this is your debut record,
Yep.
and tell us a little bit about the history of how you guys formed.
Yeah, so we formed right, I guess, right kind of in the beginning of COVID in the pandemic, 2020. Uh and it was kind of good because once everything kind of like shut down, all we did was stay in the basement, jam, get the songs out. And it's really kind of set the tone because we've kind of just been trying to be like a very productive band, no wasted time. So we put out an album a few weeks ago. We already have plans in about 2 weeks to just kind of lock ourselves in for the month of November and just write album number two. Like we're not messing around. So we formed during the pandemic, man, and we've just been grinding away. We got a new drummer for this record compared to our old EPs. Our original drummer left the band right before we recorded this album, so a lot of obstacles thrown our way the whole like 3 years. Like I was fun. It's never been fun to be in the band. It's always been like these crazy challenges and like something we have always had to deal with. But actually, ever since Tyler's been in the band, and once we kind of started this record, it's been like just awesome. Everything's been smooth. We've been like kind of getting like achieving the vision we've always wanted to put out. So it's actually like the best part of being in the band so far. I think it's just gonna keep going up, hopefully.
Yeah, plus since you were a new band, so you had like a lot of time to practice and hone in the sound of the album. I think my friend Green Man on his review, he said it well. It's like it has that old school thrash metal mentality. He said that there was some songs that reminded him of like a Kill 'Em All by Metallica.
Mhm.
Different influences, but I heard like it's pays homage to old school but with a new feel to it. So,
Yeah.
Mark, when you were like doing this album and the sound, what was the sound or bands that inspired you for
Yeah,
the
it's
sound of
actually
Electrocutioner?
yeah, thanks. That's a good question. It's pretty simple. There's like a few. Basically, I'm like a thrash freak. I'm obsessed with thrash. It's all I listen to pretty much. So the main vision of the band was, and I think we kind of really, compared to all of our releases, we kind of finally achieved what we were kind of going for. So going forward, we've kind of like nailed our sound pretty much. But the whole idea of this record was basically Exorcist's Nightmare Theater, that record, very obscure kind of thrash, black and speed metal. that whole record is basically the blueprint of this record. They have these like synth interludes, like instead of, just one or two synth intros, they've got every two songs like a synth intro, which really kind of breaks up the speed and with like this like mysterious ambiance.
Yeah,
So
you
that
have
kind of was,
a few intros on
yeah.
the record. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So and some people love it. Some people think like the record's good, but that we could have done less synth intros and like kind of interludes, which is totally fair. Like I know it's a matter of taste. And if someone says to me, hey, too many synth intros, I'd be like, yeah, totally understand. But the idea was we were really going for that Exorcist vibe. So if you listen to that record and then you listen to our record, you'll be like, oh, I see exactly
Yeah.
what they kind of were inspired by. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but actually, Earth Ender, the
Yeah.
beginning, which is like a synth, I don't know why it reminded me of like music, like a John Carpenter,
Yep.
like the Thing type of thing. Like
100%. Yeah.
yeah, you think like, oh shit, something is coming. Is it a
Yeah.
false idol? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So that like John Carpenter and especially the Terminator soundtrack, that was huge. I like the Exorcist synths are more kind of dramatic, like they have like spoken monologues over them. But I kind of wanted to keep that kind of, classic 80s thrash dystopian horror kind of vibe. So Terminator, Escape from New York, The Thing, little kind of Halloween. So that was definitely always on the radar. Yeah, 100%. So John Carpenter's uh excuse me, the Terminator soundtrack, Exorcist, and then just basically what we were going for was like Megadeth's first and third record, The Killing Is My Business, and then So Far So Good So What, which most people throw away, but I like the creativity on that album. Whiplash, Power and Pain, and then things like Show No Mercy by Slayer. Those were the kind of the blueprints, and that first wave of thrash metal. So. But we really like, I'm picky with my thrash. I listen to it all day long. That's all I listen to. And I like one thing that like like I nitpick is like you gotta sound. I think you have to sound old school. I hate when bands are too like too metalcore or hardcore influenced or the black and thrash. It's not pure enough. Like that's cool if that's the goal of your band is to be black and thrash or death thrash. But the goal of this band was to be like old school thrash metal, but not to be
Yeah,
just like a cop. Yeah, not
yeah,
to be a
it's old
copycat.
school thrash metal. It's not like black, because yeah, I've heard some bands that mix like black metal with thrash
Right.
and the hardcore with the thrash. You know the crossover bands.
Right, right. And that's cool. And I love a lot of those bands, but like the vision for this whole band was like we don't do the breakdowns, we don't try to sound like Power Trip, we try to sound old school, but we try to put our own twist on it. So I like it's hard. Like you can definitely hear if I tell you all those influences, like Overkill, Megadeth, Whiplash, Exorcist, you can hear it. But I think we kind of put a little spin on it, so we're not like being copycats. So hopefully that we achieve that mission.
No, yeah, and the vocals for you, I couldn't quite ping like the vocal delivery because it's different in someone. So like for you vocally,
Yeah.
uh like what type of vocals or metal thrash metal vocalists inspired you?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. If you listen to both of our EPs, besides the production being super raw, band stuff going on, one thing I was always critical was my voice was so inconsistent. I kind of had no idea what I was doing. It's kind of like a Megadeth situation. It was like, we should get a singer, we should get a singer, and then eventually I was like, all right, I'll just do it. So I kind of was just tearing up my chest, tearing up my throat. I'm definitely a guitar player. Like I had no idea, like, you know that you really got to take care of the body with the throat. You have to cut out foods. You have to really, really take care of it. So, before recording our EPs, we'd be partying, doing all this stuff, and it didn't lead to the best performances. So one of the goals for this album was to really just be super consistent with the vocals. So I didn't really have one influence, but like obviously The Exorcist, that record, it's kind of like he sings like a demon, he doesn't just like sing. It sounds like there is no singer. It sounds like a horror demon is kind of like the singer. I always like that. Definitely like old school Death, like Chuck Schuldiner. That
Hmm.
kind of that kind of
I see
like
you're a fan right there.
yeah, that's actually my wife. She's a lot cooler than me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. But and then I guess the other big influence for me, which is not really a thrash band, is Venom. That kind of just uh
Yeah,
guttural. yeah, you know, like black metal, like that
Yeah.
kind of sound. That's kind of what I'm going for too, just because I don't think like the operatic singing would work for our band. I think we're a little kind of like too kind of gnarly sounding. And you know, like I tried experimenting with kind of like a James Hetfield type of voice where it's kind of like a shout but a scream. And at the end of the day, I just thought like this primal, like
Yeah.
ferocious animal voice was a little better.
Plus, you have to throw in the yeah.
Yeah, so that's another thing. A lot of people do the you know, I do the bleh. I like that kind of thing, but
The
no
plan.
yes for me. Or you know what I do actually? It's funny you said that about the Hetfield thing. I was supposed to throw in a go on this album, you know, go like he did, you know, sometimes, but I forgot. We
Oh
forgot
yeah,
to record it.
he does sometimes, but I think
Yeah,
like when I think of James Hetfield, I think of the
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But more in the he does it more when he's playing live, not on the albums.
yeah.
It's
It's
more like
true. Yeah, yeah, it's true.
it's
Yeah,
more
so I don't think that's a good point. Live, he's definitely overdoing the yeah, yeah.
maybe when he's recording the album, the producer's like, do not fucking say yeah.
Well,
Like
yeah, that's
yeah,
probably
I've
exactly what
noticed that
happened.
he does a lot of yes when he sings live, but not on the records.
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
good point. I never really thought of that.
yeah,
It's funny.
I just thought of that.
It's funny. I actually have a Metallica pinball machine in my basement, and half the time, like you're playing, he's just like, "Yeah, yeah, get the pinball, yeah." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it's a good point. I'm gonna think of that."
Yeah, I don't think he says yeah on at least I'm trying to remember. No, not on the albums. He does it live.
That's
Uh,
like, have you ever seen those like YouTube compilations where it's like every time Chuck Schuldiner says lies, or every time Slayer says death, and like for their whole career, and they just cut it into like a 5 minute compilation. It's hilarious.
oh yeah, like every band has something
Yeah.
distinctive about them. Uh, I think Megadeth. I'm trying to think of like they all has like that spoken like a spoken word, raspy spoken word
Yeah.
stuff. Like Chuck Billy from Testament has his own thing. Overkill sounds like like a leprechaun demon. So so everyone has like their
He's got that laugh, that
yeah
whole
that
thing.
it's like a thing that every band has to like when you listen to it, it's like, oh yeah, it's that
Yeah.
band.
I got to think
So
of a trademark then. I got to think of a trademark to
you
start doing.
gotta think of a trademark. So I only talk about the name because it's cool. Like how did you end up with Electrocutioner?
Yeah, it's funny. We had. I hate the story. Is so it's not attractive. It's not sexy. It's not cool at all. I was just like, when we were thinking of band names, and I think it was like the first week. I was like, I want something like a, you know, like a destructor, like annihilator at the end. So I was like, electrocutor, and then the basis was just like, how about electrocutioner? I was like, all right, that's cool, and that was it. We had no. Apparently, there's a Batman villain called Electrocutioner, which I had no idea. So people were like, "Oh wow, like Batman." I was like, "No, I had no idea." He's like a,
I
yeah,
love Batman, but I can't
yeah,
remember that villain.
yeah.
It must have been like a really obscure villain.
He's very obscure. He was like in a few comics, I think, in the '80s, and I think they put him into like a TV show recently, but never been in the movies and stuff like that. But yeah, I had no idea either.
This is news to me. I never heard of I've heard of Electro in
Right,
Spider-Man, but
right.
not Electrocutioner.
Yeah, check him out. He's
So
a Batman villain.
I'll
We're
have
gonna
to
cause
check it out.
that comic price is going way up.
Oh yeah, I'll have to check it out. So let's show the album artwork for
Oh,
the
okay,
new
cool.
album. So here's the false idols, and yeah, something is cool about this artwork. It looks like I don't know where that person is going, but I don't think it's a good place.
That's good, man. Yeah. We actually kind of wanted to like leave it up to like your interpretation of it. So like the idea is like it's kind of like, you know, some dude who's broken and he's basically meaning like a god or a supernatural force, just some kind of being that is overwhelmingly powerful. And you can either look at that as like on the negative, like he's getting shocked or he's getting killed, or you could look at like the positive, like he's being enlightened or like this force is giving him power or something like that. So you really could
Yeah.
take it either way, you know?
You know, when I see that cover, I don't know why I think of Souls or Soul by Ghostbuster. There's only Soul.
The artist is Wormwalk. He's a great artist. He's done a lot of stuff. I think he told me he based the guy on the bottom off of Luke Skywalker, I guess, in that one scene where like I guess he's crawling. But I gotta ask him because the top guy reminds me of the Thing, the movie poster for the Thing, with the
Yeah,
fur.
and the human at the bottom reminds me of that girl from The Ring.
Yeah, yeah, the girl climbs out of the TV or whatever that is, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of looks like her, and yeah, but yeah, it's a cool album cover. The logo it's made in like an 80s fashion way. But the good thing is like I can read what it says, and obviously the name of the album False Idol. So it's come on, it's pretty self-explanatory, like what that song is about, false
Yeah.
idols, those televangelists and stuff like that. And especially I think of the Death album cover that you have in the back from you, that's all about like uh like false idols
Yeah.
for you. So yeah, it's there's some pretty like some standout tracks for me in this album.
Hmm.
I think the Guillotine is super catchy as hell.
Thanks,
Uh,
man. It's
so
funny
talk to
because
me. Yeah.
that was like, oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, no, no. I was gonna say, yeah, that I remember I saw it and I'm like, and I listened to it. I'm like, it reminded me of the song I wrote, but this is a good version.
Yeah. Oh, we got for the next album, you got to send us any songs you wrote in high school. Maybe we could remix them or something.
Well, it depends because I listen to a lot of grunge too. So there's
Okay.
you have that song that's fresh, but then you have songs that would sound like Nirvana or Pearl Jam. I
Yeah.
was just ripping off all the bands that I enjoyed.
Nice, man. Yeah. It's funny, the Guillotine, it's interesting how some of the songs evolved. So, you know, what one thing has been humbling is that, and we're thick-skinned, so we're okay if people criticize the album or don't like the album. We're interested in
It's
feedback.
gonna
So,
happen no matter what
yeah.
you do.
And free speech, man. You don't have to like it. Um,
Yeah,
but no, none of we got. It's funny. We got even the Angry Metal guy reviewed us, which was wild. And the reviews overwhelmingly of all. Actually, I think all of them have been positive. They point out like things they would have done differently, but nothing they hated. But one thing, most people don't know. By the way, first off, the album was recorded in my basement on a shoestring budget. We had nothing. And the other thing is, our drummer. So our drummer left the band, the day he was supposed to record drums.
that
So,
sucks.
well, right. And not only does it suck, it really we had to do everything ass backwards because, we didn't have any of the songs off the album recorded. So, in order to get a drummer, I had to go record the whole album on a guitar with no drums. So then we're just showing drummers guitar tracks. So basically, then the drummer had to kind of like write all new drum parts because there was no recorded, besides I told him the basic structure. So songs that we had like for a year ready to go then kind of changed, with new drum parts. And sometimes he was kind of reverse engineering them. So like I'm just very critical of everything we do. So like I was like, oh man, I wish we could have wrote this and then recorded it, but because he left it in. But the Guillotine was always like our least favorite song. It was funny. We're like, this just sounds like totally different. It's like I think it's like the longest song on the record. And it's so funny because and we threw synth on it too, like in the background. And it's funny because everybody's like, dude, the Guillotine's the best song. My brother was like, that Guillotine song, I love it. So it's really funny how the song we kind of thought was like I even said like, bro, let's just put that song as the last song of the album. And no one's gonna like it, and it's everyone's favorite song. So we're like, we were never gonna play it live, and everyone likes that song the most. So we're like, all right, we're gonna have to play that. That'll be the new one.
I think you never know, like which
Right.
ones. Maybe the one you thought like, oh, this is gonna be like the hit. It will be the forgotten one. But there's another one that I thought was pretty cool is Seven Lamps of Fire.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and that one had it had like a little bit of like a new wave of British heavy metal tinge to it. I,
Yeah.
th-
Yeah.
I yeah, I thought.
Yeah, it's a little more it's got a contrast of like the verse riff and like the kind of whole outro is pretty aggressive, but there's kind of like a very melodic sense to the chorus. It's a big chorus. It's not a lot of speed on the guitars. Yeah, we released that as the single because it kind of shows off all kind of parts of the songwriting. It's catchy, it's aggressive, it's got a headbanger. It's it's pretty straightforward. So we kind of picked that as the template, as the single. You
Yeah,
know,
and you finish with Execution of the Witches, and this is a tight 35-minute album, but you pack
yeah,
a lot in 35 minutes. It's 13 songs. If you think with the outros, it's really like 10 songs
yeah,
and three like interlude
yeah,
outro songs.
yeah.
Do you have a which one of the song when you were working on this was your favorite? Did you have a favorite of the ones that you
That's
were?
that's a good question. Let me think here. I'd say my favorite uh to where I really liked. It's funny. I would say the two that come to, I would say the three that come to my head. I've always Seven Lamps of Fire. I've just always thought that it was just catchy, and every time people heard it, like, yeah, that's a good song. Throne Possessor is just one of my favorites. It's just a little different. It's like less than 2 minutes. And then the other one that I really enjoy is Asleep at the Wheel because that one also has kind of that Iron Maiden kind of new wave of British heavy metal ending. And when we try to write thrash metal songs that are aggressive, but also like catchy and that have a hook, and it's not just
Yeah.
a wall of noise.
And asleep at the wheel, it's you don't want to be asleep at the wheel.
Yeah,
So it's like the more you know.
yeah,
And yeah, you have
yeah.
another one. You have collector's debt too, like
Oh,
after the
right, yeah,
guillotine,
yeah.
which is funny because usually the collector comes to take your debt before the
Right,
guillotine.
right, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's a flip on the debt collector. The debt collector comes
Yeah,
around and he's taking from everybody. But that song, one big theme on the album is just like uh no mercy punishment. Like whether it's a spiritual idea, and there's a lot of like Christianity inspired songs where like you messed up and you're going to hell and there's no second chances. And like the guillotine, one more time. You messed up, your head's cut off. There's no second chances. So we really like Revenger is just about a brutal revenge. Same thing with Asleep at the Wheel. So it's kind of like um, there's no second chances. It's this brutal, harsh sense of justice. Um, and Collector's Debt kind of flipped it. It's really about, I mean, like you could take it like you've been spending too much money on buying records, man, and you're not getting out of this debt, and you're done. It's time to pay what you owe, and what you owe is like suffering and pain. There's no safety net. So it's not, and it could be anything. That's a very kind of a funny way to read it, but it could be people, drug addiction. You've been collecting these bad habits, and now it's time to pay what you owe, and there's no soft landing. It's always just going to be brutal punishment. So that's kind of like a theme that goes out the record. That's probably going to be sticking around the second record too, because I kind of that's kind of I like to like very serious stuff. I like to deal with that where it's like, I'm not going to talk about any personal songs where this is what I'm going through. It's always going to be just like end of the world, final judgment. This is how it is. Because I think that's pretty scary. It's a very scary idea because I think when all of us, if we mess up in life, we're like, oh, okay, oh, I'll fix it. It goes through. But very rarely do you pay dearly in a brutal way that you can't fix. And I just think that idea is really scary. So a lot of that stuff is in there. And sometimes that's a good thing. There's a sense of justice. Like Revenger is based off a comic book where it's just like this based off a comic book by Charles Forsman. It's just like this girl who just goes out and kills rapists and pedophiles and serial killers. And it's just like that kind
so
of brutal sense of, that sense of
so like the
justice.
Punisher.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's a big inspired by the Punisher. Exactly. I guess the difference here is a girl, and it's kind of a throwback to that stuff. You would like it. It's cool. But that idea of just like, no, there's no exit out of this. This is what happens. This is what your punishment is. I just think that's a fascinating idea. And I love reading books and stuff, and like the ancient literature always had that. Like Odysseus and the Odyssey. We were supposed to have a song, which will be on the next one, about the Iliad, the chariot. The idea, like, Odysseus comes home and he's just like, it's funny, like in high school, they don't really teach the ending of the Odyssey. It's like, oh yeah, he came home, he meets his wife, his son, it's all good. It's like, well, the next chapter, he kills like 200 men, and then and then like you're like, okay, that's okay, right? Those men stole his wife, and it's like, well, Yeah, what about the next part where then he takes all the maids in the house, all the women who kind of are giving food to these men, and he locks them in the shed and he burns them alive. You know, it's like this sense of ancient justice. You don't see that anymore. And these were heroes, you know. So I think that's the fascinating like cultural change we've been through. And that's why I think the religion part is interesting too. It's like, no, you don't get a second chance. You're done. You know what I mean? So that's where it
No,
comes
yeah,
from.
it's interesting. So yeah, the Revenger, like it's like a Punisher's type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Punisher has never been a comic book for kids.
Yeah.
Uh, but I don't think I think they almost got the Punisher right, the last version with the actor who's in The Walking Dead. But
Yeah.
they can't make a Punisher without being R. I'm sorry, it's
I
the
agree.
Punisher.
Yeah. I
If you're
remember
gonna do the
when,
yeah,
yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, if you're gonna do the Punisher, do it right.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree. I think I forgot what it is. It Punisher? I forgot which comic book is. That's like the one where there's the one great one where like they retell his origin. He's like in jail, you know, he's in jail with all the people who want to get him because they know why he's there, and he like has to break out, and it's violent. It's awesome. But yeah, and then there's ones where they're putting him in like a minivan, and he's like a spy. And there's no blood. It's like yeah,
oh yeah,
the real Punisher should be like I think he's a Vietnam vet, right? It's like he
yeah,
should have
he's a vet. Plus, they
yeah,
killed his wife,
yeah,
his kids, so he has nothing to live for
yeah,
except like punishing people. And
exactly.
they did a movie where he's like they try to put him a love interest, and no, no, no. The comic book, the guy is not interested in anything. He
Yeah,
lost everything he loves, so he just
exactly.
wants to punish people. There's that horrible movie that had John Travolta as the villain.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it sucked,
Well,
but I think
yeah, I mean,
the
hey, man, Megadeth, they wrote a song about the Punisher, right? Holy Wars, the punishment due. That's all. That half of the song is about the Punisher. Most people don't even realize that. You know what I mean? It's just a weird song.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, and yeah, there's in thrash metal has always had like a
yeah,
hand in comic books because Anthrax had
yeah,
the Josh Dredd. I
yeah,
am the law.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree, man. I'm a comic book fan, but that's why I like this guy Charles Forsman's comics because it's no BS. It's like I don't watch any superhero movies. I've never seen them, but it's like I don't understand. I mean, I think the Punisher Max comics they had, like what was that in the 2000s? I don't remember those. Those were bloody as hell, and it's like, can we just make like a gory, you know, gritty Punisher movie? It makes no sense why they're trying, like you said, giving him a girlfriend. He doesn't. He's got no time for that.
No, no,
You know,
no, no. The
he's going
Punisher,
after a crime organization. That's what his goal is, you know?
yeah, I the Punisher to me is like Batman but with guns. Uh
Yeah.
I like I like what they did with the Batman movie, the last one with the guy from Twilight. That a lot of people complain, oh, it's the guy from Twilight, but
Right.
he's been in other movies after Twilight. And you know what? That's a great Batman. I think that's one of the best Batman movies because they
Wow.
focus on him being a detective.
Ah, okay. I didn't
And
see it.
that's
I
what
got to see that one. Robert
it's a
Pattinson. Yeah. He was in a really
yeah,
good
it's
movie. I forgot what it was called. They're
with
like
William
doing
Defoe, right?
drugs. No, no, it was like a what was that? Maybe I could look it. Hold on, I can look this up here. I got my computer. Robert Pattinson. Damn, what was it called? Good Time. You ever seen that movie?
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's like a very low budget movie. He's got like a they're like he's a terrible person. He's like a rapist and they like do drugs and stuff. It's pretty crazy, but it keeps you on your edge of your seat the whole time, you know?
No, yeah. So you're very into comic books. Like, so are you going to incorporate some comic book stuff for Electrocutioner?
I mean with Electrocution of the Batman villain, that's what we should do.
Well, you could do
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a villain,
Yeah,
Electrocutioner, but
it's funny. I gotta buy like the first origin issue of them, but yeah, I'm not sure. There's no plan. You know, one thing like I would say like the lyrics and the subject matter, we kind of have three templates. One of it, one thing is just like inspired by a movie or a comic book. You know, like we now have two Nicolas Cage inspired songs. We have the Revenge of the comic book. We're probably gonna have the like something inspired by like the Iliad or something like some brutal thing. Then we have songs just inspired by like a narrative, like the guillotine's about a guy who's going to die. So kind of like asleep at the wheel, it's a story. And then other ones are just, kind of just spiritual or destruction, that type of stuff, war. There's no plan for a comic book, like I haven't read a comic book in so long, but
Me
not that
neither. I
bad.
don't have time.
Yeah, that's the thing. I like a lot of the underground stuff. I was getting into
They
them,
used
but
to be cheaper, and now they're
yeah,
super expensive. So I found the
yeah,
Electrocutioner.
yeah. Tell me what's it?
This is the Electrocutioner from the Batman Arkham. This is not on the because I used to play video games before, but when I didn't have kids and I had
Uh,
time and more money, uh, so I could
I think if
actually.
you
Uh,
I'm sorry. If you Google like his first appearance in the comic book, he looks more like an executioner. He's got like a hood, I think, on him. He looks a little. He's got that kind of like
yeah,
that Kirby
because
inspired,
right
like
here, I don't know about you, but he kind of looks a little bit like Harvey Two Face with some power gloves or something.
yeah, he looks like Cable, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see if I can find an old school
Yeah, check out like
picture of him.
yeah. If you type in like Electrocutioner Batman, like first comic or first appearance, it
I
probably comes
found
right
it.
up. Yeah, he looks
I'm gonna.
cooler, I think.
Well, it depends on what your definition of cool is. Uh, once I show the picture in a moment, you can let me know if it's cool or not. But I'm not pretty sure if I would say it's cool. But I'll get your opinion in one
All right.
second. So this is the old school Electrocutioner.
Yeah, I think that's cooler, man.
Yeah, well, at least you can tell. I don't know. It looks a little bit like Mr. Captain Hawkman or something, but with some golden hands. But at least
Yeah.
it's old school. It's an old school thing because
Yeah.
the other one didn't look like it. So,
Yeah.
but
I like that he's got like an executioner kind of theme, the black and red, you
mhm.
can't see his face. I think that's a little cooler. I gotta read the comic book, man.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't know it was a comic
Yeah.
book
Yeah.
character.
I'd say the only other comic book character that I'm kind of itching to write about, which we kind of threw back, is like Evil Ernie. Like I love that comic book from Chaos Comics back in the 90s and stuff. I don't know if you remember that.
I'm trying to remember, because that's when I used to buy comic books back in the
Yeah,
90s.
he's got like a leather jacket. He looks like Slash. He's like a metalhead and he's green.
Ah,
He's,
I think I remember.
he's pals with like Lady Death was like he's got like he wears like a metalhead leather jacket and he's got a happy face pin that like tells him to kill. It's pretty wild.
All right. I remember back in the 90s, like there were events for comic books, like when they killed Superman. I
Oh yeah.
remember waking up early to buy that. I think I had my copy. I don't know where my copy is, but I think that that went down in value when where they realized like we can't fucking kill Superman. Like we
That's
gotta
funny. That happened to me too. I remember when they assassinated Captain America. What was that, like 2006 or something like that? I think I spent like $50 to get that comic the day it came out, and then they brought him back to life like a week later.
You're like motherfuckers, like how dare you? Yeah, but
Fan investment comic books.
I remember that Superman one because everyone was like, who the hell's gonna kill Superman? But yeah, that character that killed Superman, he looked like, yeah, I bought it that he could have killed Superman. And then hey, yeah, but like what you were saying about comic books and comic book movies, I think right now there's just too many of them
Yeah.
and they throw them
Well,
out and they try to connect them all like it's a big world. And I'm sorry, but I think I just have like a fatigue of comic book movies. And I used to love Star Wars as a kid, and I have a
right.
fatigue of Star Wars as well. Just too
Yeah.
many.
Yeah, like well, there's an expression. It says, I think it's a business expression. It says the three I's. First, it's the innovators, then it's the imitators, and then it's the idiots. So I think that's what happens. Like when something starts, like, well, you could say it's thrash metal or just comic book movies. It starts off as innovative, as cool, and then you get a bunch of copycat, and then it just becomes so stupid and watered down. I'm not a Star Wars guy, but I kind of read about that stuff, and that's what it seems like. Like the fan base is just like, what have you done to our beloved franchise here?
Yeah, no, I think it's too much. And like for example, right now, it's cool that we have so much access to music because of streaming and stuff, but sometimes a lot of music gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, so I'm glad that the Green Man put that, and I found it because sometimes it falls like so many, like that October 13th. I kid you
Yeah.
not. I think there was like 200 releases, and I
Yeah.
interviewed many bands that had releases on that day, and it's just it's a lot. And back in the 90s, I don't know if they had as much releases back then, but there was like it was like an event when a new album was gonna come out. Like
Yeah.
you had like the people like lining up at midnight to buy like oh
I remember
the new Metallica or the new Guns N' Roses or
that. Yeah.
whatever like was popular. So right now, I think that it's easier access, but also uh, a lot of music gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. It's true, man. I mean, it's like you said, it's a blessing and a curse. There's more ways than ever to keep up. You know, you could use Bandcamp, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, whatever it
Well,
is. But
if Bandcamp is still around.
yeah, I'm worried about that, man. I'm worried about that, you know. Um, but yeah, there's so many more ways to get yourself out there, which is a blessing because you hear all these bands. But then you have a lot more bands putting stuff out, and sometimes there's a lot more you have to sift through. So you got to keep up on it. But yeah, I always have like a backlog. Like, okay, I got to listen to that album. I still haven't listened to that album, and it came out like 3 weeks ago. You know, it's funny because when we put the album out on because it was Friday the 13th, you know, October, and we wanted to put out in October. So like, all right, hell yeah. And then like once we announced it, we were like, this is probably a bad idea. Every band's probably doing like everybody wants to put an album out. It was like we should have did like the sixth. We have a lot less competition.
Oh yeah,
But I
I
don't
talked to a band called Titan that, and he's like, "Oh, I'm being so original," and it's like, "No, I'm not."
yeah,
like,
exactly. So
like a lot of bands wanted to put out on the 13th, uh, and you know, there was just so much music
yeah,
that came out on that day. So yeah, it can get lost in the shuffle.
yeah.
So yeah, the album. So you are ready to go to album number two. So are you doing it in the basement again, or are you upgrading to the
Well,
floor?
to well, to be fair, I mean the gear we have in the basement's pretty good, so it's not like we're recording on a you know, a walkie-talkie or something. But
No,
I
of
like
course.
here's the thing, you know, we're all pretty, you know, middle class, average Joes. We don't have money. We don't have $10,000 to get to the studio. You know, we would love to. It's not like we're opposed to the studio, but like
Yeah,
we,
no.
you know, I got bills to pay. Everybody's got bills to pay, and it's like, hey, man, you know, we could put it out DIY and it'll be a little raw, which is kind of cool, or we could spend our life savings on it. And you know what? I've
Yeah,
talked to people too on not, you know, a little bit, not like, you know, Metallica size, but I know a bunch of bands who are, you know, obviously a little bit bigger than us. They have a label, and it's like sometimes they're like, dude, I didn't like the experience at all of being in the studio. These guys are rushing you or they don't know you. So, we'll probably, the plan is we're probably just going to do it in the basement again because, you know, we like to, like, for example, Throne Possessor is like a 2 minute song. When we were doing it in the studio, we're like, you know what? Let's just cut the last minute off of that song because like we thought like it just killed the energy. So there's a lot of things that we got to play with and improvise, like for the synth stuff, you know, like we had a few beers and then I threw on the Terminator, we watched it, and then I just started improvising and we did it. So guitar solos, a lot of stuff were improvised, or there was a lot. I think like my bass player logged it and we were at like over 50 hours of, you know, and it's not like we were doing bad takes, but it's just like you get to play around more. Or like, you know, well, something we would do is like, hey man, come over Saturday, 11 a.m. We'll just stay and then we'll start drinking at 9 p.m. and whatever we get done, we get done. Sometimes the takes got ruined because we're in a basement and like my oil heater would go on and the heat would go on and just there'd be all this noise, or my neighbor would start mowing his lawn and be like, son of a bitch, you know? So there were moments like,
you could have put that like in the album opener, the lawnmower, and
you know
then
what?
you start
That'd
like
be a good idea.
revenge.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. We pitch shift it, you know, like we make the lawnmower of death. So yeah, the plan is probably the basement. Uh, but yeah, the plan is probably because my drummer, he drums for Prong too sometimes on the East Coast and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
awesome! They put
yeah,
out a new album. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were at their little record release show. Like they did a record store in Long Island, so that was cool. But yeah, so he's got like a tour coming up, so we're not going to waste time. So I really think the goal is like November. We're not playing any shows. December, I think we have one, and we're really going to just try to write 8 to 10 songs. We're not going to rush it, but like, what's the point? Like that's how they did it, man, in the '80s, man. Like well, that's the point. Of, like the Exorcist record, they wrote that record in 3-4 days and recorded it in another 3-4 days. They didn't have the luxury for time and money, so that's the way I would do it. So like that's the goal.
Yeah.
Just yeah, write it fast on instinct. We're not going to rush it, so we'll play with the songs and make sure where we like it. But that's the goal, man. Like too many bands they just sit around. It's like, well, why not put out another one? Keep writing. So
The momentum and strike while the iron is hot. But
that's
I can
correct.
relate with what you're saying, like you're recording and the neighbor the lawn, because I do this from my apartment. And
Yeah,
sometimes my neighbors have a fucking dog. And sometimes I'm doing an album review and it's perfect. And
right.
then the fucking dog starts barking. I'm like, fucker. Like,
Yeah,
like
that happened to us, man. Like we live in New York, so we have this season that we call fake fall. It's like all of a sudden it's October or November and it's like super cold. Like, all right, cool. We got temperature controlled. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it'll go like 70 degrees for a day. So there'd be times where my guitars just would not cooperate with the humidity. And it's like, if we were in a studio with something like that, that's just money down the drain. So it's kind of like we kind of like the DIY approach too. We don't we don't ask for help from anybody. We're not against it, but it's like we're not going to sit around and twiddle our thumbs. We'll just do it ourselves. You know what I mean? That's the old school way, I think.
those, yeah, plus you get to read the what you sell, you get for yourself. So if people want to buy the album physically, how can they get it?
Great question. Go to our Bandcamp if it's still around. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, go to our
if,
Bandcamp.
if it hasn't been bought by the CEO of Spotify,
Yeah,
so you can get $2 if you
yeah,
get to
right.
2 billion streams.
Yeah. So as of now, what is it? October 25th. We have a pre-order up for cassette and CDs. I'm actually getting the test tape in the mail tomorrow. So as long as it sounds good, that'll be approved. And CDs, same thing. They're in production. So if they pre-order it, they'll probably start shipping out within probably like early November-ish, as long as everything goes according to plan. CDs and cassettes. We might do vinyls, definitely not right away because we don't have the money. But like if nobody wants to pick it up on vinyl, I think the plan is like maybe around the year release date, we might just save up and do it ourselves again, or at least maybe like a 7 inch of a single, just something, because we're a big fan of physical media, man. I'm a big, record and cassette collector, so I like to have touch and hold it.
Yeah, that's why we're poor.
Dude, man, you don't even know, man. I was just like, I gotta stop spending money. And then I went to this record store in Brooklyn on Saturday, and I walked in, and I'm like, how the hell? Because how sometimes they put like on the price tag, like the date the record came in the store. You know,
Uh,
I just saw these 3 records in this. I'm like, there's a Running Wild record, uh, the band Enemy, very obscure thrash band. And what was the other one I bought? I forgot what it was. Just a Nuclear Assault record, a
oh,
Brazilian, yeah, Brazilian press. And I'm like, how the hell have these been sitting on the wall for like since September? So I was like, I gotta just spend my paycheck, forget it. Like I can't let someone else take that, man.
you're like it will be mine. Oh yes.
Oh yes, it will be mine.
Yeah, like for the kids now, that's from a 90s movie.
Yeah. Wayne's
You'll be
World,
like,
it
what the
holds
hell?
up.
Yeah. Well, at least for me, I hope it's not. I hope like some people don't find it offensive now and cancel it.
I'm trying to
Since
think,
now,
does Wayne's World have anything that bad that get canceled in? I'm trying to
I,
think.
you know what, Mark, I don't know.
I don't think so, but
I
you know
don't
what? To
know
be honest,
anymore because we're from the 90s
that's a
where
good point.
like you know
That's a good
what, it
point.
was it was cool to have a fucking sense of humor,
Yeah.
and
I
now it's
watched
like, yeah.
we watched Austin Powers a while. I forgot a few months ago, the first one with Mike Myers. And like I think there's a scene where I'm like, oh shit, they could not you could not use that joke anymore these days. I was like, that would be canceled. So yeah, it's
Oh yeah.
funny. Like but I think Wayne's World might I think
No, I
Wayne's
think
World is
Wayne's
good.
World, it's pretty. I think it would go
Yeah,
by like
yeah.
without a problem.
Except
Uh
maybe when like the the ex-girlfriend stalking him and they kind of throw her through the roof.
yeah,
Remember that?
but
What?
that's like cartoon humor
No, yeah,
almost.
no, I know. I'm just kidding. I know.
But
But
you
hey,
know
man, you
what?
never know. You never know with these young kids, right?
Maybe they if they see to the coyote and the roadrunner,
Yeah,
uh that's clearly,
Bugs Bunny.
that's clearly like a bad for coyotes, like maybe that's what the maybe that's what Aaron Lewis from Stain saw, and he's like, I'm gonna kill
You know
45
what's
coyotes
you know
and
what's
put
funny,
them.
man? I saw that. I saw that picture. So I guess what's funny was that no one seemed to be upset. Like, people are political; they get so divisive. So I think
Yeah,
didn't he write like "Go Trump" or something like that with the dead bodies of the coyotes or something
he
like that.
put Trump 24.
Right, right. So I noticed. I saw the picture and like no one was upset that he wrote Trump. Trump. It was just that he killed all these coyotes, and I'm like, I've hunted before, and I've seen a
Yeah, no,
coyote.
what I did a short video, and what I said is that I thought it was kind of lame that he used dead animals to
Yeah,
spell that.
yeah. But you know what's fun?
Like,
Yeah, that was more the disturbing thing. Like, but
yeah,
you know what's funny? I've hunted before, and the last time I checked, I've seen a coyote in the wild, man, and they're pretty they won't really go after you too much. But I think if you check, someone will have to fact check me. In New York State, because you know how you can only kill like one deer or two deer a season, depending on stuff. I believe you can kill as many coyotes as you want in a day. Like
yeah,
they're
I
so
read
invasive, you know?
after I did the short that apparently, yeah, you can kill a lot of them because they can kill livestock, but it's a lot. It's like a
Yeah. Most people don't
it's
realize that the coyote, dude, I'm a freak with this stuff. I memorize this stuff. The coyote is the most successful North American animal to ever exist. They have been trying to make it extinct for like 300 years since the 1800s. They can't do it because it's so smart. It adapts to everything. They live in freaking Queens, man, coyotes, and they live in the mountains. They can live anywhere, you know?
yeah, but maybe they're there for a reason,
Oh no, yeah, I'm not
yeah.
saying we should
Oh,
kill them.
oh,
I'm just
yeah.
saying like most people are surprised by that. I love coyotes. I love animals. I'm not
Yeah,
saying they should kill them. I'm just saying
it's
like
like
these
with
things.
when they did the movie Jaws, and everyone's like, "Oh, we gotta kill all the sharks,"
Right,
and
right, yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, like
like
I think your chances of like getting killed by a shark is less than like being killed by a vending machine or something.
yeah, yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I would. I don't want to get killed by either one, but yeah, like that would
Yeah,
really suck to be killed by
they,
a vending machine.
yeah, they shake the machine, man. They want their money back.
And it goes and yeah, no, that maybe you should write a song about that.
Yeah,
Death,
sleep.
hey,
Yeah.
death by vending machine.
I'm trying to think, yeah. Vendor bender, something good. We'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. So Mark, it's been awesome chatting
Yeah.
with you. I'll put the link for the Bandcamp so people that want to pre-order physically, or maybe they can buy it, stream it
Yeah.
for now.
Yeah.
I would recommend False Idols to anyone who likes old school 80s thrash metal. Uh, it's got that vibe to it, and like people think like, oh, like thrash metal, and they're mad, but you don't seem to be mad at all. You're a cool guy, chill guy. So anything that you like to say to the people that will watch this, to what to expect from Electrocutioner the next few months?
Yeah, great, man. Thanks. I just first off, just want to say thanks for you to having us. Appreciate it. Let us talk. It was a pleasure. Big shout out and appreciate anybody who's listened to the album. I've been actually trying to like figure this whole social media stuff out on Spotify, and I've been like checking statistics, and I'm like, wow, man, a lot of people have listened. So that's like just encouraging. We appreciate it, man. Even if you didn't like the album, appreciate you checking it out. It's nice. What you can expect from us, man, is I think we're going to be playing a few cities here and around the East Coast in the next few months. But we are nonstop momentum, like you said. We're going to keep moving forward. I think the next album, if you like this album, it might be a little more. We're definitely not changing styles or changing anything different. It's going to be the same bread and butter. Might be a little bit more like old school Sepultura, like Beneath the Remains, a little more fast and aggressive type of stuff. But other than that, check us out if you like us. We appreciate it, and just check out any new band. If you don't like us, just find a new band every day. Find someone cool you dig. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I just hate it when people like, especially old people, uh, so they're like, there's no new music or good music, like, and they just listen to the same. It's like
Yeah.
they listen to the same four bands that they listen to for, like there is new stuff. You just got
Yeah.
to and get up your lazy ass and stop complaining and listen to new stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
And like you said, it's never been easier, man. You got no excuse. You might have to find 30 crappy bands before you find two you love, but dude, then you found two new bands. It makes you feel young again, when you were 14 and 15, you kept, oh my God, when you just found out about, Slayer for the first time. Imagine when that kicked that off. So you just find that new band, like even if you're 55, who cares?
yeah, it's cool. I'm 46 and I love discovering new music. And by
Yeah.
doing this channel, I get to interview a lot of new bands. So I'm constantly listening to a lot of music and I listen to a lot of like different genres. So I have fun with it. So Mark, I hope you have a great night. And people, False Idols, the album for Electrocutioner, is out now on digital, but you can pre-order it when it
Yeah.
comes out. And I'll put the link for the band's page so you can, know where they're playing some shows. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.